Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucienne Bauker, and probably most of you have had some communication with me. I'm the clerk helping with the procedures. When you want to speak, if you press the big red button in front of you, when you stop speaking, you just release the button like so. I'm just going to remind everybody that this meeting is now being live streamed to YouTube, and we have a few people who are joining us on Teams. So I'm going to start the meeting by asking the panel to nominate a chairman for today, please. Can you press the button, please?
Sorry, that's nominate Councillor Beth Rowland.
Can I second that?
Thank you and good morning. It's really nice to see you here, and for me it's quite nice to see the children. This is a democratic process. They are seeing it in practice. They probably get a bit bored because it's not always very helpful. If you could, if they're noisy, take them out. You're an older boy at the back. I hope you enjoy this and learn something from it so that in school you can tell them that you've been to a council meeting. Perhaps you'll be sitting here one day, you never know. We have quite a few people joining us online today, and so we'll be veering between the screen and you in here. And if I could ask you to speak clearly, if you have your mobile phone on, can you please have it on silent? Okay, let's get going with the meeting. The script in front of me is the way we're going to run the meeting, so we have a strict order, and I will keep my eye on time. If any of you are speaking, can you please not repeat what someone else has said? If you do, I will stop you, because we need to hear things once. We have a lot of correspondence. This is quite likely to be a long-ish hearing, and so we will work together on not repeating and speaking clearly into the microphone. Okay, let's get going. Officer to present the case on behalf of the council. Alex, that's you, is it? Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, sorry, Rachel.
Through you, Chair, I just need to clarify a procedural point first. And anyone who's had sight of this agenda will note on page 5 there is the formal section, which is not specific to this meeting. But under point 5, the chairman of the subcommittee outlines the procedure, which Beth has just done, and it also sets out some factors that will be considered. Those factors actually appear in error because they are factors that are considered in relation to Licensing Act 2003 matters. Instead, I'm going to turn to the Woking Borough Council policy for street trading consents, and there are copies available should anyone want to have them. And what they effectively say is that in determining the appropriateness, officers, and read officers into this panel as well, are to have due regard to, in particular, but not to the exclusion of others, the following, either individually or collectively. And those are the likely impact of existing highway users, either as a result of the use of the pitch by the trader or by the trader's customers, the location relative to any residents or businesses likely to be affected by the use of the site, the nature of the trade, the trading times, appearance and impact on street scene. So what the panel will be doing is putting out of their mind those factors detailed in point 5, which are the licensing objectives, which are very, very specific to the Licensing Act 2003, and put that in simpler terms, what we generally think of as alcohol licensing, entertainment licensing and things. This is specifically for a street trading consent and therefore not governed by those factors. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I forgot to ask my fellow councillors if there's any declarations of interest. Can I ask you to declare?
No.
Thank you.
None.
Right, Alex, I'll hand over to you to start presenting the case.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so the Woking Borough Council policy for street trading consents at section 3.2 states that where representations have been received during the consultation period, where no mutually agreeable outcome can be reached between the interested parties, and where the application is not otherwise withdrawn, the usual procedure is for the matter to be determined by a hearing of the Licensing and Appeals Subcommittee. Mr Bilal Busteep has applied for a street trading consent on land to the south of Baird Road in Arborfield. Following a public consultation, 82 representations have been received, both in objection and in favour of the application. In accordance with the Council's policy for street trading consents, members are requested to determine the outcome of the application. The following options are available to the Licensing and Appeals Subcommittee: to grant the application in full on the terms and conditions contained within the application, to grant the application as above, modified with such additional measures as they may consider reasonably necessary, or to reject the application. Mr Bilal Busteep currently holds a street trading consent at the Royal British Legion, Eversley Road on Arborfield, RG2 9PR. Mr Busteep is intending to relocate and has therefore applied for a new street trading consent at land south of Baird Road, Arborfield. The hours applied for are Monday to Sunday, 0730 hours to 2300 hours, including bank holidays. In his application, Mr Busteep explains that the Royal British Legion have withdrawn their permission for him to trade on their land, so he has purchased the land south of Baird Road as an alternative. In terms of a consultation, green notices are displayed around the proposed site, and these are attached as Appendix C. During the 28-day consultation period, 31 representations were received in objection to the application, with concerns including planning, road safety, traffic congestion, parking, litter, noise, antisocial behaviour, crime, pollution, wildlife, pests, and competition with nearby businesses, and an aesthetic impact. A further 51 representations have been received in favour of the application on account of the applicant and his long-standing contribution of his business in the local community. These are attached as Appendix D and E respectively. Included in the consultation are also Thames Valley Police, Environmental Health, Highways, Property Services, Grounds Maintenance, and local ward councillors. Representations were received from the Planning Department, Councillor Adrian Betteridge of Barkham and Arborfield Ward, and Hilary Carlis, Clerk of the Arborfield and Newland Parish Council. Those that have made a representation have been informed of the time and date of the Licensing and Appeals Subcommittee hearing. In terms of legal considerations panel, in accordance with Council policy, in determining the appropriateness for the subcommittee is to have due regard to the likely impact on the existing highway users, either as a result of the use of the pitch by the trader or by the trader's customers, the location relative to any residents or businesses likely to be affected by the use of the site, the nature of the trade, the trading times, appearance, and impact upon the street scene. Taking into account the application and representations received, the Council may grant a street trading consent if they think fit, under the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982, Part 3, Schedule 4, Paragraph 7.2. Should any street trading consent be granted, the Council may attach such conditions as they consider reasonably necessary under the same Act, Paragraph 7.4, and there is no formal right of appeal in respect of a refusal to grant or vary a street trading consent. And that finishes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. It's now the subcommittee's place to ask you questions on what you've just said. Rob.
One probably trivial question. You mentioned that this is for land south of Baird Road, and the map that I'm looking at clearly identifies a location, but that to me seems to be north of Baird Road.
Yes, I had noticed that as well. Land south of Baird Road, and Mr. Buttigieg will clarify this for me, I'm sure, is the wording used on the title that was provided with the application. And there's this plan that's in the pack matches that.
Any more?
No.
Any questions, Kay?
No, no.
Sorry, through you, Chair, can I ask something by way of clarification to assist the panel? Looking at the policy for street trading consents, at point 3, it says the maximum period for a new site is 1 month. How does your department deal with that ordinarily?
This is an option open to us. We don't usually do that, but it's an option available to us, particularly in an instance like this where there might be some form of contention.
So it's, just to clarify, it's not a standard item that applies to street trading?
Not necessarily, no.
It's now up to the applicant to present his case to us, and thank you, we've already had quite a lot of information. So if you'd like to speak now, that's fine.
Hello. Well, I can start off talking about our response to the concerns. Yep, of course. Yeah. I can talk about some responses to concerns regarding traffic and parking, firstly. So there's already an existing fish and chips van there, which operates once or twice a week, about 15 to 30 minutes. He stays on site. Therefore, the increased activity in this area is intricate and does not pose a long-term impact on traffic or parking. Our proposal for a dedicated parking area will actually help, in my opinion, alleviate the parking issues on Baird Road already, because our proposal of having a car park, which we will later submit a planning application for, will help alleviate the existing parking issues on Baird Road. Because the customers already visiting the co-op and the fish and chips van can also utilize our parking area instead of creating congestion along the roadside on Baird Road. This could improve the traffic flow and also enhance safety for both the drivers and the pedestrians. I also understand these traffic concerns due to the co-op. However, I believe that allowing the van to operate alongside the establishment of this dedicated parking, it will help mitigate existing issues rather than worsen them, because our setup will offer a more organized parking solution, ultimately benefiting the community and improving overall safety in the area. When customers leave the car park, there will be ample visibility on the road, on the entrance of the car park, to exit without disrupting existing traffic. We're willing to work with the planning department and any other departments to ensure a safer exit or entrance into our car park, so we can make changes in the proposal of our plan. We're open to making changes in that too. And in our previous location at the Royal British Legion, that is an example of where we had a lot of vehicles accessing the site directly from the main road without causing any issues, despite the high volume of traffic from the club. Sometimes there would be 50 to 60 cars entering the car park without any disruptions to the traffic on the main road, on Eversley Road. But given that my business typically sees only 2 to 3 customers at a time, around five cars every half an hour to an hour, so there'll be nowhere near as much traffic as then. And even then, the effect was minimal to zero. And our aim is to, of course, enhance the community's offerings while maintaining a safe and organized environment. So that's our responses to the main traffic issues. Regarding the environmental impact and the semi-rural aesthetic of of Arborfield. We understand it's not classified as an industrial zone, but we also want to emphasize that our intention isn't to operate, is to operate a mobile kebab van, so it won't be a fixed establishment that will be there all the time. It will be temporary, and we're willing to change our times to a shorter period of time, because I know a big concern was the time from 7 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. initially, but we're willing to change that to a later time after 5 p.m. and shut at around 11. So that will minimize the time you spend there. And regarding the impact on the semi-rural look of Arborfield, we're committed to ensuring that the setup is complements the environment rather than detracts from it. The van is very compact, and it's designed to minimize the visual disruption. And I also think that having a food option available will enhance the community without compromising its character, as it has been over the last 15 years. And we will be preserving around 92% of the existing land in our proposal, and only 80% of the land will be taken up with this car park and the van. Yeah, so that's our concerns. And some concerns regarding the unauthorized access and permanent parking on the site. There will be minimal clearing of the land, like I said, and the existing hedges will remain intact. The natural barriers will help deter any unauthorized access into our area. Additionally, the only entrance to the site will be through a secure gate, which will be locked outside of operating hours to further prevent any unauthorized entry. And to enhance security, we'll be installing CCTV cameras around the site, which will also be able to see or detect any issues going on with the surrounding site of Baird Road and the co-op, for example. So that would help with existing issues again. And however, I do believe that the likelihood of such incidents occurring is minimal, given that the very little will be cleared from the site, especially the hedges, which will continue to serve as the natural barrier. And concerns regarding antisocial behaviour and littering, that was also a concern that we came upon, but to address this, I will implement a strict waste management plan, ensuring that littering is not the case around my trading. This will include providing sufficient waste bins for customers and scheduling regular cleanups to maintain the site's cleanliness myself. To address concerns about the antisocial behaviour, again, the CCTV in the area will not only monitor my site, but also the surrounding area. This proactive measure will help detect any potential issues and provide a safer environment for all. Having been a trader in Arborfield for the past 15 years, I can confidently say that I've never had to call police or any other authorities, as I always strive to resolve any issues with calmness and kindness, so it never gets to that point. Moreover, I plan to conclude my operations before 11 p.m, like I mentioned, to minimize the potential for antisocial behavior during late hours. Additionally, I will implement adequate lighting in my operational area to enhance the visibility of the site. And also, the improved lighting can increase safety by making the area more visible and thereby reducing opportunities for antisocial behaviour to occur. Hopefully, together, these measures will contribute a positive and secure atmosphere for both the customers and the surrounding community. There was some concerns about potential noise and pollution. I want to assure you that I will be using a silent generator, which is specifically designed to minimize noise output. Even from just 10 meters away, the noise level is virtually undetectable through these silent generators that I'll be using, especially considering that the nearest housing is over 100 meters away from our proposed location. This significant distance ensures that the operation of the van will not cause any inconvenience or disturbance to the surrounding area and the residents. We're committed to maintain the peaceful environment and address any concerns regarding noise pollution. My goal is to provide a valuable service to the community without compromising its quality of life for the residents of the area. Concerns regarding fire and safety. I thank you for raising your concerns regarding potential fire risks associated with the kebab van's operation in the area. I do take fire safety very seriously. I want to assure that I will implement all necessary precautions to mitigate any risks. I have been in the industry for the past 30 years, and during these 15 years of trading at Arborfield British Legion, all of the equipment has always been checked annually, with no fire issues ever reported. In fact, I have never actually witnessed anything in this area of a van causing fire anyway, nor have there any been potential hazard during my time operating there. Our time operating there. This also gives us confidence that I can maintain a safe environment in this new location. And this proposed location for the van is designed to prioritize safety, and I'm committed to adhering to all relevant regulations regarding fire safety equipment. This includes ensuring that the equipment is well maintained, using grills and gas lines that meet safety standards, and having fire extinguishers readily available on site. I also understand the importance of maintaining the natural environment around the van, and to further reduce any fire risk, I will implement a clear maintenance plan for the area surrounding the van, including regular checks to keep the vicinity free of any dry grass or debris that could pose a fire hazard. I'm willing to work closely with local fire safety authorities to ensure that the operation aligns with the best practices and regulations. And our goal is to run a safe and responsible business that respects the community and its surroundings, like I have been for the past 15 years. There were also some concerns about the impact on local wildlife. I do appreciate the commitment to preserving the natural habitat in our area, but I do want to assure that my proposal was designed with environmental sensitivity in mind. The operational area will occupy about 10% of the less than 10% of the available land on site, and I have no intention of removing any existing hedges or natural features that provide habitat for local wildlife. The majority of the land will remain untouched, allowing the native species to continue their natural behaviours. And furthermore, the mobile nature of the van means that there will be no permanent structures that would disrupt the wildlife for their habitats. Since the operation involves adding only a car park and a mobile van, there will be no demolition of significant alteration of the environment that could negatively affect the animals that reside in the area. So we are very committed to maintaining the integrity of the natural surroundings while implementing practices to minimize the disturbances. I do recognize the importance of safeguarding our local wildlife, and I ensure that this proposal would not adversely impact their habitat. There was some concerns regarding antisocial restroom facilities too. And to address this concern about restroom facilities, I will provide mobile toilets on site specifically for the workers. These will be situated behind the van, out of view from the public and customers, ensuring privacy and maintaining a hygienic environment. The location will be further away from the van to uphold food hygiene standards and prevent any inconvenience to local residents. I would also like to highlight that my operation will be situated over 100 metres away from the nearest housing, like I mentioned before, which minimises any potential disturbances to the community. And regarding light pollution, my operation will be designed to minimise disruption. The mobile van will not be equipped with bright, unnecessary lighting, adequate lighting that will be, and I will ensure that noise levels will remain low during the operation. And our goal is to integrate the business into the community without causing any disturbances regarding these issues. There was also concerns about illicit activity and racing. I understand the concerns regarding drug dealing from vehicles parked in secluded locations and racing around the area. To mitigate this risk, although it's not really to do with the land in the area, I still wanted to address this, and I will be implementing several security measures at my site which will help with this existing issue. And the only access point will be a secure gate that I mentioned that will be locked during non-operating hours, which you can see in the plan, which prevents unauthorized entry to the car park. Additionally, there will be CCTV cameras, like I already mentioned, that will monitor not only the premises, but also the surrounding areas, so it will detect all of these activities. And if I do recognize any suspicious activity, I will immediately let local authorities and the police know and provide them with any information and proof to detect suspects. And a final concern response with the local community concerns is regarding my removal from the Royal British Legion. There's a misunderstanding about why I was required to vacate my previous trading site at Arborfield Legion. I was not removed due to antisocial behaviour or issues related to urination and littering. Instead, the decision was made by the landlord of the Legion, who didn't grant a lease for the club due to my van being parked there, and it also being a private land. I take pride in maintaining a clean and respectful environment, and I'm committed to continuing this practice in this location. And I have never gotten any complaints about this before in the past 15 years. And during these 15 years, I have always handled any concerns with calmness, patience, and kindness, fostering positive relationships within the community. And regarding the concerns about potential antisocial behaviour, I will be ensuring that the operation contributes positively to the community through a clean setup, providing adequate waste disposal options, and the CCTV surveillance to monitor the area. I understand the importance of preserving the character of Arborfield, and I am dedicated to operating in a manner that respects the neighbours' aesthetics and values. Thank you for considering our perspective. I also have some concerns, addressing concerns about the planning department's objection, which I understand and acknowledge, and regarding the need for planning permission before commencing operations. I would like to reassure the licensing and appeals subcommittee that should I be granted this trading license, I will not begin any trading activity until I have successfully obtained the necessary planning permission, of course. And I'm fully committed to ensuring that the business complies with all planning and licensing regulations, and immediately seek the appropriate planning permission before any operations are carried out. I hope this clarification makes it a bit more clear on the process and my intentions. And there were some concerns raised by the local MP and regarding, again, the planning permission and for access and hard standing. As mentioned in my earlier statements, I will not begin trading until the appropriate permissions are secured. Some, again, highway and traffic concerns, which I mentioned that my business does only typically serve 2 to 3 customers at a time, and the remaining spaces can be utilised by people who currently park on the roadside to visit nearby businesses such as the co-op, and this will help reduce the roadside parking and improve overall traffic management in the area. And I am, like I said, willing to adjust my operating hours from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. to 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. instead. This would concentrate customer visits during the evening, minimizing disruption during the busy hours of the day and allowing for better traffic flow in the area. And we're willing to work collaboratively to ensure that the business operates smoothly while addressing the community concerns. He also had some concerns regarding the impact on green space and drainage. I do appreciate these concerns, and it is important to us to minimize environmental impact while ensuring effective stormwater management. I would like to clarify that the parking area will only cover approximately 250 square meters, which is approximately less than 10% of the total square meters of the land, which is just over 2,500 square meters. This means that nearly over 90% of the land will remain as grass, which will continue to contribute to the natural drainage and help mitigate stormwater runoff. The existing grass and vegetation will play a crucial role in absorbing rainfall and reducing the runoff, the volume of runoff, and promoting groundwater recharge. Additionally, we do intend to use permeable materials for the parking area, which will further improve the site's drainage capabilities. And I am open to collaborate with the planning department and the other relevant authorities to discuss and determine the most suitable material options, ensuring the best possible outcome for both the environment and the community. The combination of maintaining a significant portion of green space alongside implementing sustainable materials will ensure that the street trading activities do not negatively impact local draining systems or contribute to any potential flooding in the area. We are committed to work again with the council to ensure that the proposal aligns with community needs and environmental standards. Another concern, again, regarding the antisocial behaviour. I did mention earlier about installing CCTV cameras and how I am confident that this won't be the case due to my past 15 years in Arborfield. and also the implementing adequate lighting in the site will definitely help enhance visibility of our site, which can act as a deterrent to any problematic activities. This improved lighting can increase safety by making area more visible and thereby reducing opportunities for antisocial behaviours to occur. And together, hopefully, these measures will contribute to a positive and secure atmosphere for both my customers and the surrounding environment and community. There were some aesthetic concerns, and I take the prominence of the site at the entrance of the Arborfield Green quite seriously, and given that my van is located over 100 metres away and more than 30 metres from Bed Road, it's unlikely that any noise from my business with the use of the silent generator will disturb the residents, and the van's 5-metre length minimises any potential visual impact too. I have previously operated at the Royal British Legion, where the houses were just across the road at about 20 metres away from the van. And during that time, I never received any complaints regarding noise or the aesthetic appeal of my setup, which again reinforces my confidence in that my current location will be the same. I do greatly appreciate the positive recognition of my previous location at Arborfield Green Cross, and it has always been our goal to provide a service that benefits the community, and I remain committed to this. While we do understand the concerns about the proposed site, I believe that with the proper measures in place, we will continue to serve the community in a way that aligns with the local needs and expectations. In conclusions, I value your input and would be happy to collaborate with the relevant authorities to address these concerns, and I hope to find a way forward that meets both planning and community requirements while allowing us to continue to operate in a responsible and sustainable manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Chair, sorry, could I just briefly make an intervention at this stage? I think the comments which were referred to as coming from the MP actually came from me as local councillor. Just wanted to clarify that for the record. Okay, thank you.
Are there any questions from the committee? Do you want to lead off?
I've got a couple of comments and probably 1 or 2 questions. You state that you're over 100 metres away from the nearest housing. Looking at the maps, that's not quite true. I'd estimate it to be about 75 to 80 metres away from the nearest houses. Still, I think I don't really have a big issue with that in terms of the noise that you're talking about. Shouldn't really be an issue at that distance, but you might have got your distances slightly wrong. It does look like you're setting your, on the map, or one of the maps that we've been given, it does look like you're planning to set your kebab van about 30 metres back within the land that you've purchased. So just a clarification, I think, on the distance.
Yeah, it was just some approximate measures that could be probably a bit different.
That's
Sorry about
fine.
that.
I'm just correcting
Yeah.
it really for the record,
Yeah,
as
that's fine.
opposed to, I'm not making an issue that I think the distance is too small, simply that it's for the record. Some of the issues or the things that you've suggested that you would do in terms of maintaining the cleanliness and so forth of your area, were we to grant consent to that, then certainly from my point of view, it would be, I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to do this, but I would be certainly expecting that the licensing officers would be taking those commitments that you're making seriously, with the view to any renewal of a consent to trade. I would certainly be expecting them to hold you to that. We can only, as I understand it, we can only grant or withhold consent, and it would be hard for us to grant consent requiring you to make that sort of cleanliness a requirement of your activities. Can I just clarify whether I can actually, or we can actually, issue consent specifically requiring them to meet certain cleanliness standards?
You can apply conditions to the consent as you consider appropriate.
Okay. Okay.
You say the fish and chip van already is on or goes on site. Is
Yeah,
everything-
about, 1 to 2 times a week for only about 15 to 30 minutes every time.
and presumably there's no problem and no objections and
No, like it's a very temporary thing for only half
Yes.
an hour, and it's usually at what time? Yeah, so it doesn't really collide with our times, and it's only for 15 to 30 minutes. And our car park, our proposal again would help with the existing traffic there too.
thank you very much.
I have one other question or comment. You mentioned in your presentation that you'd be looking to install mobile toilets which would be screened by the van. The van, however, is mobile, and therefore when the van is not there, what do you intend to do with the mobile toilets? Do you intend to leave them there? Do you intend to screen them? What do you intend to do?
You got, actually, what's happened, you know, they put it there, you know, and then anything happened, they take it back and bring it back, you know, renew it. Is that, leave it there, you know, on the corner side on somewhere?
Out
you know,
of
near
the
viewing.
viewing of the entrance, so it'll be probably in a corner within the site, out of the
Viewing
view of
everywhere,
the
yeah.
entrance of the site. So it won't be visible from the outside.
Okay, yeah, fine. So that would not necessarily be screened by the van, but you would intend it to be screened from view.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Through you, Chair, perhaps I can just ask two things to clarify and assist you. In relation to the planning consent, have you already applied for planning permission?
No, we haven't, because because we didn't know we need the planning first, you know. We applied for the licensing, then try to get, you know, our license, then we say, you know, once you get the license, we're doing the application, we won't trade, you know, until we get the planning permission is there. So we wait, you know, as long the licensing say, yes, we will, you know, allow to trade, then we do the planning application, then start, you know, once the planning go ahead, you know.
And the planning doesn't, of course, have to be exactly, if we don't get granted this planning permission, we're willing to work with the planning department to ensure whatever, whatever's suitable for this location for us to trade.
And a second question, I think you've already answered it, but you intend for the toilets to, you remove the van when you're not trading, I understand.
Correct, yep.
It's like a side one, you know, where they doing the work and stuff like that, living, you know, taking like a, ne plastik olanlar var ya.
The plastic mobile ones that can be removed and...
So the van would be taken away, but the toilets would remain there?
On the side.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
And you would lock the toilets?
Yes.
We have people online with their hands up. I will come to you eventually. I'm just going through the process that we have now. Alex, do you have any questions?
No questions from me, no.
Thank you. The chairman will now invite responsible authorities and other persons to speak. Can you please indicate if you wish to speak? We will take your details and I will come to you in turn. Sorry, Adrian?
Yeah.
Yes, I've got Adrian, yeah. And we've got two people online. Right, Adrian, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to give a view as a local councillor for the Barkham and Arborfield ward.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? This is an opportunity to ask questions, not to present your case just yet.
That's fine. I don't have any questions at this stage then. Thank you.
Sorry, we have two people online. Martin Dean, do you have any questions? Martin, have you got your mic on? Okay, I'll go on to Michael
Oh,
Knowles.
he's just put his,
Oh, sorry.
his camera. Martin, do you have a question to the applicant? We can't hear you, Martin. Well, it looks like it's not working.
Okay.
So the next person is Michael Knowles.
Michael Knowles, do you have any questions for the applicant? I'm just going to adjourn the committee for a few minutes while we get this checked out.
Hi, just to let the people know, the people that are online, we are having difficulties hearing you in the council chamber, and I've just called for help. Somebody's coming to see what's the technical issue that we're having. So we're just having a couple of minutes adjournment to try and sort this technical problem. So just please bear with us. We'll get it sorted in a minute. I noticed that Kieran is speaking. Just to please remind you that the live streaming has not stopped. So whatever you're talking about will be picked up on YouTube. So you might want to just hold on quietly.
Irrespective of that, Kieran, given that we are only here to ask questions in this section, does it include clarifications where I believe that some of the representation has been erroneous?
Hi, Kieran, I'm going to look to you for help. If you start talking now, I've got my technical people here. They're going to try and work out what we can hear. So if you can just sing happy birthday or something. Look, you can see that he's speaking, but we're not hearing.
the audio bill.
But it's not streaming from my laptop. It's
that-
streaming from here.
Is that what the TV?
Oh, unless the sound here is. Is this sound here? Is it worth trying though? Hi, Kieran. Can you try and speak again, please?
I can do. Are you able to hear
we
me?
can hear you now. We got it.
Okay,
All
great,
right.
superb. Well
Thank
done,
you. We'll
chaps from
reconvene.
IT.
I'll get everybody else in and we'll reconvene in a couple of minutes.
Okay, that was handled really quickly. Thank you so much.
Once everyone's back in the room, we'll start again. We're just waiting for one man to come back into the room. Once he's back in, Martin Dean, can you be ready to speak, please? And then Michael Noley? Not sure I've got that right, but
Knowles.
Knowles. Okay, thank you.
Is the room able to hear me now? This is Martin Dean speaking.
Thank you, Martin. I'll give you the go-ahead when we're ready and we've got everyone back in the room.
Okay, thank you.
Please don't repeat anything that's already been said on a time issue, but go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. The local residents believe that this potential site is a target for vandalism, and we were encouraged by the fact that CCTV would be provided. However, that CCTV, in our opinion, needs to be 24/7, which will therefore require some sort of permanent structure on the site in order to maintain power and the CCTV equipment, as well as the now temporary toilet blocks. What is the applicant's view on that, and what are they proposing to do with regard to covering the site from a security point of view when they are not there with their van?
Thank you, Martin. We'll just give them a moment to answer.
Hiya. We're planning to have the CCTV in place on a wooden panel on the site to hold it up, and it will be running 24/7 on site through the use of solar panels. Planning to do that.
Thank you.
Martin, do you have a follow-up question?
No, I don't have a follow-up question at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Knowles, would you like to speak, please?
Whilst you had your technical issues, Kieran Hinchcliffe and myself discussed regarding the agenda on this, and I have no specific questions that I would raise at this point. I have other issues, but I believe that's further on in the agenda.
That's lovely, thank you. Is there anyone else, either in the room or online, that wants to ask a question? It's now the subcommittee has turned to ask questions of responsible authorities and other people for points of clarification. Could I start off by asking a question to you about the land? How many car parking spaces are you proposing to put on it, and how will you care for the land that isn't paved in any way, so the grass and the edging?
Hiya. To address that, we're planning to have a tarmac car park which has about 8 to 10 car parking spaces, and we're planning to work with someone to have edging around and pavements around the site, around the car park as well, to help that.
And would you cut the grass in the season for cutting grass, or just leave it?
We will be maintaining the grass by cutting it when needed, when it gets too long, and we'll be maintaining that too at the same time.
Would you think that the current grass there would stand up to wear and tear of the customers at the kebab van?
No, because there will be designated pathways for them to use and pavements, so that wouldn't be an issue, no. And there will be barriers around there. We could do that if that is still an issue. Although I don't think it would be due to having the pavements that will be used with the customers. So, yeah.
How will you do this car parking? Will you have concrete on there, or will you have the natural things that go over the grass? You can get those. How will you actually have car parking?
Well, our initial proposal was to have tarmac car park. However, if that is an issue still during the planning permission, we are willing to have different options if work with the planning department. But that is our initial proposal, to have a tarmac car park.
Sorry, you can now ask questions of the applicant. Alex, do you have any questions?
No, thanks.
We now have an opportunity for everyone that's here to ask questions and sum up their case. Sorry, my mistake. We have an opportunity for people in favour to speak, local ward members and people who support the application. Would you like to indicate, please, if you wish to speak? Thank you. Can we start with the man with the yellow?
Hi, my name's Kevin Brooker. I'm the former chairman of the Royal British Legion. So in that capacity, I was in effect the landlord for Arborfield Kebab Van. I'm in support of the new pitch for Bilal and for the Arborfield Kebab Van. During my time at the Legion, I always found Bill was really easy to work with, kept his site clean and tidy. We had no problems with him being there. I think it's a shame he's had to move from there, but it is what it is. I think that he's said about kind of the mitigating circumstances for the antisocial behaviour that is being experienced around that area, and it is worth noting the co-op has seen a rise in that recently. In my opinion, I feel that Bilal being there with his CCTV actually is just going to deter people from further antisocial behaviour. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman on the left behind you.
Hi there, my name's Alan. I'm a local resident. I live on Hill Road. I hate to go against your rule about repetition, but I just want to say I am completely in favour. I'm here to show my support for what I think is an asset to the community. So I just wanted to have that out there. Thank you.
That's lovely, thank you. Adrian, as the local ward member.
I'm afraid I'm not speaking in favour of the proposal, so should I speak later? Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say that obviously we have actually started a petition as well that's had over 700 signatures in favour of Bill. He's been a well-respected member of the community for 15 years now. In regards to antisocial behaviour, the relationship that Bill has with both older generations and younger generations, there's so much respect there. I just don't see it happening around his kebab ban. There's never been any issues at the Legion. I mean, we've all been going there for a very long time. Yeah, I think the over 700 signatures on the petition speaks quite loudly. Thank you.
That's nice to hear, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone on the line indicating? Speak against the application. Please will you raise your hands if you want to speak against the application?
Hi, my name's Elaine and I live on Bramshill Close. I've got nothing personally against the kebab van because I actually use it myself. But the location that it's going to be is going to cause so much more traffic coming into Bramshill Close. I live right next to the co-op. I've experienced antisocial behaviour myself. I've had to have the police out where I've been threatened. The issues in the co-op are horrendous. So we're going to have 10 times more traffic coming into the area, not particularly into Bramshill Close, but you've got one entrance into that area because it's almost like an island. The kids hang around there in late in the evening, so that it's going to be more of a place to hang around a kebab van for these kids. They're harassing neighbourhoods, they're harassing neighbours, they're doing this from the co-op, so once the kebab van is there, it's going to cause more noise. They're only going to put in 10 car parking spaces, and when they're not working, that's going to be closed, so nobody's going to be able to use that car park before 5 o'clock at night. So that's totally irrelevant. The car park is only going to be available when they're working, if they're going to work from 5 to 11. If they're going to work from 7 in the morning, we've already got Arctic lorries turning up outside our houses at 7 o'clock in the morning to unload, which is totally unsociable. We have to deal with this all week, 7 days a week, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 at night when the co-op shuts. And so we're going to add on to that now the experience of a kebab van, which is it's very well known. It's an excellent kebab van. As I said, I don't have anything against this gentleman. But the location it's going to be put in is going to just bring so much more onto our little island. And it's not only that, the other thing is the smell. What about the neighbourhood, the smell? You know, kebabs smell nice, yes, but they don't smell nice when you're sitting in the garden all day and you're smelling this. This is another thing to look at. The young children of the area, they've put up all these houses, but there's nowhere for them to go, so they hang around the co-op. We actually have children that come to the fish and chip van that comes twice a week, as the lady said, for half an hour, which causes no problems because it's gone. But the children actually buy from the fish and chip van and sit in the co-op car park and sit and that's where they sit and eat it. That's where we have to put up with this. I've had, like I said, I've had unsocial, first-hand experience. I've been threatened. I've had the police out to me. I've had boys standing at the front door threatening me. And this is just going to cause so much more, I believe. But like I said, I don't have anything against this gentleman or the kebab van. It's where the location is going to be. I think it's just unfair on the residents of the area. We have so much that we've had to put up with lately, and it's only going to experience worse, I think. That's all. Sorry.
Thank you. Adrian.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk as a local councillor and go through some of the issues that residents have raised with me. A number of residents have contacted me, both for and against this proposal, and I'm going to try and balance these and then give my view at the end. I think there are two components to this application. Firstly, is the applicant and their business competent to run this sort of street trading operation? And everything I have heard and seen tells me absolutely yes, the community is very much in favour of Bilal running this sort of business in the local area. The second, though, is the proposed location suitable? And this raises quite a few more difficult questions, including that the location itself is not actually a street location at the moment, but is proposed to be converted to a street location for the purposes of trading. And that, I think, is slightly different to what we might normally be looking at in this committee. It's very apparent how popular the applicant is within the community, how many people have enjoyed its food and service over many years, and that's witnessed by the petition with its 750 signatures. So I think that's not in question. But I have also been contacted by a number of residents with concerns about the locations. The main concerns relate to the suitability of road access and the impact of traffic in and out of the site. The proposal to lay hard standing on what's currently green space, and the potential to exacerbate existing issues with antisocial behaviour in the location. The area around the co-op has had recent and ongoing issues with littering, but also with much more serious antisocial behaviour, which are very familiar to those who live in the area, probably less so with others, and has resulted in a couple of significant police interventions in the last few months. Now, it's quite possible that a well-run street trading operation at this location could help with that problem. Equally, it's quite possible that it would exacerbate it, and the scale of issues which local residents have faced make their concerns about the latter case entirely understandable. Looking at the other issues, the proposed road access and hard standing undoubtedly need planning permission. And I guess, you know, those of us who live in these worlds all the time understand that, and I fully understand why perhaps the applicant didn't understand that. And there is a question about, do you go for street trading application first, or do you go for planning application first? And clearly you've chosen to go for the trading application first. I understand that, but I know the planning committee have the planning department have some concerns. I noticed the Highways Department didn't respond to this application, but I do believe they have some concerns as well, and those would need to be addressed certainly as a condition prior to street trading authority being granted. Both planning and highways will look not just at the impact of having the van there, but also the impact of the traffic coming and going, and in particular the impact on nature of the traffic, the light pollution, the other forms of pollution and the disturbance that will cause. And that's not subject for this committee, but I know it's something that the planning committee will want to take seriously. And often it's those biodiversity type issues which really cause the problem when you're looking at converting green space to other purposes. So those are significant questions over this application which may not be able to be resolved in this meeting. But on balance, given the significant number of uncertainties around the potential impact on antisocial behaviour, whether it's positive or negative, and the uncertainty around the planning conditions from a highways and from a green space point of view, I don't feel I can support the application at this stage. I hope there is a way for the applicant to resume trading in the local area, and I, as local councillor for the area, I'd be happy to support and facilitate as best I can. I just don't think this particular solution, as it's defined at the moment, is suitable.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room? Yeah, anyone else in the room who wants to speak who hasn't? Sorry? Michael Knowles, you're online. Would you like to speak now, please?
Thank you. So I totally agree with the lady in the chamber who is from Bramshill Close about her concerns about this. The outcome of the previous application for the land south of Eversley Road, which is the same land, determined that building on the land was wholly inappropriate for many reasons, not least the road safety and planning reasons I raised the last time. And the councillor will agree that that, whilst not being presented here, is still looming. These issues have once again raised their head, despite the application being considerably different. Indeed, the traffic considerations are actually worse. Parking for the co-op, despite 14 spaces allocated, is frequently not full, whilst traffic parks regularly at all times of the day, irrespective of the fish and chip van on Baird Road. Ever since Observer Way was created north of Eversley Road, and some trees and shrubs removed from the south of that, we have had a 3 decibel raise in the levels of noise at our house, and it echoes down the road, down the houses into our house. We live within 100 metres of this proposed site and have had issues with the pub and the co-op with noise as well. I believe the CCTV only actually covers Mr. Bostev's van rather than the wider area anyway. And that actually working for a CCTV company, it's not necessarily the deterrent you may think. One issue that raised its head today is the toilets. Whereas they're screened from view, they're not necessarily screened from smell. And if you're leaving them there 24/7, 365, during the summer months, you're going to have an absolute stench coming all the way across the whole of Penrose Park from there. Finally, the trunk road is the sole road. Baird Road is the sole trunk road for Penrose Park. So every car that has to get in and out of Baird Road, of Penrose Park, goes through Baird Road. It is difficult at the best of times since the co-op occurred. If you consider coming off of the roundabout on Eversley Road, Langley Common Road, and coming down Baird Road, you currently have to negotiate some madman trying to go straight on from Langley Common Road to Eversley Road and T-bone you in the side. And within 30 to 40 metres, you have to look left to the spur off of Baird Road. You have to look straight ahead for the people coming out of Bramshill Close from the co-op. You have to look right for the people coming down Baird Road who may not stop and try and go across to the Baird Road spur. These are possibly people on the wrong side of the road because of the parking that now occurs outside of the co-op on Baird Road. And then there's the proposals that either there is an entrance now off of the roundabout or off of the curve that you're trying to negotiate. That is making a black spot 10 times worse. The fish and chip van is not there for once to twice a week for 15 to 30 minutes. It's now there at least twice a week on Thursdays and Saturdays for roughly 3 hours. However, the fish and chip van is not material in the parking issues that occur on Baird Road. Yes, it may add a few cars during a couple of times a week, but the parking down Baird Road is abysmal at the best of times, with Arctic lorries and builders' vans, etc., parking up because human nature says, I can't be bothered to go into the car park, I'll just go onto Baird Road. That, along with having now pedestrians possibly going across Baird Road into an area which was supposed to be a block from Eversley Road's traffic noise to Penrose Park, is going to cause even more problems. So whilst I have absolutely no problems with Mr. Bostep and his kebabs, I have, as have most of the other people in response to this, used his kebabs in the past, I would say that this place is absolutely not the right place to put the van.
Thank you, Michael. Next, I have Sue McIntosh.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to speak via Teams. Do appreciate it. As previously said by Michael, the traffic situation outside the co-op has increased substantially since the co-op being opened. The traffic, like he said, I'll say again, parks majority on the road. This street, Baird Road, is a dead-end street that has access to 3 different estates, all of which have to use that road to gain access to the main highway. So gain access out to Arborfield, to Observer Way. So for the people living nearby, this is causing more issues. You're coming round a blind bend after exiting off a roundabout into Baird Road, and finding yourself with people parked everywhere rather than use a car park. When the initial planning went in for the co-op, we did ask for either a restricted bay to be put in on that road or double yellow lines. Not that they would probably help, but it might have helped the situation. But now it's becoming more increased. Stacey's lorries, big highway lorries coming in to get their breakfasts or their rolls or their sandwiches. We're just continuously bombarded by traffic. The entrance that the applicant has put in is completely on a blind bend. If you were coming from either direction, you would have to negotiate that, which in itself is a danger not only to vehicle users but pedestrians as well. The antisocial behaviour, again, I've worked alongside Thames Valley Police because of the antisocial behaviour. That has risen considerably since the co-op has opened. The co-op have CCTV, and I think it's already been stated that this doesn't always deter what's happening. Thames Valley Police have upped their patrols because of the amount of problems we've been having. I think having a kebab van there will just increase the problem, because the children who cause this antisocial behaviour will be attracted to it and they will be hanging around. Once that van isn't there and the toilets are left, you'll probably find that they'll tip those plastic toilets over. I've seen that happen before, which again, sewer all over the place is not particularly nice, let alone with the summer months, with the smell. Going on to the traffic flow, the Royal British Legion, where the gentleman was actually situated, has a lower traffic flow now, because they put measures into the village to allow the traffic to use Observer Way more. And also the entrance to the Royal British Legion had a purposely designed entrance, which was built years ago for traffic to see both ways very easily, so less likely to be an issue. I'd also like to point out with the planning situation, this has also been refused before, and it will probably be refused again by virtue of being located beyond the settlement limits and failing to take into consideration the character of the countryside and landscape. The proposal will lead to an erosion and urbanisation of the countryside, failing to protect the quality of the environment. The proposal is therefore contrary to the National Planning Framework of CP11, of the core strategy CC1, CC02, CC03, of the MDD local plan, and the IRS1 of the Arborfield and Barkham neighbourhood plan. By reason of the commercial development of the greenfield site in the countryside and the erosion of the rural setting of the area, and by virtue of its location, layout, scale, appearance, including in relation to landscaping, impact on the TPO protected trees, some of which I think have already been taken down, and the green route enhancement area, the proposal will result in incongruous and alien addition to the street scene, and an erosion of the borough's green infrastructure to the detriment of the character of the area. The proposal is therefore contrary to the National Planning Policy Framework of CP1, CP3, CP9 and CP11 of the core strategy, CC01, CC02, CC03 and TB21 of the MDD local plan. The IRS2 of the Arborfield and Barkham neighbourhood plan.
Girish, can I stop you? Because
Yes.
those planning issues are not to do with this committee. They're the planning committee.
Okay.
We're just looking at the licence.
Okay.
And
that's
you've
fine.
done a lot of hard work in that, I know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Just to add to that, though, the house fish and chip van that stops, he is there for a couple of hours at a time. When they first had their licence, it was a mobile van that it stopped at different locations. Since this has happened, they have stopped there. They don't use their different locations. So therefore, when they are there for 2 or 3 hours, we do have an awful lot of problems with traffic. This is supposed to be a natural boundary to Penrose Park. This area of Greenland was there when I first bought a house over 20 years ago. That was supposed to stay there to stop the noise coming from the A327 and to be a natural boundary. It was fenced and ditched to prevent travellers from locating the site because they had on several different times. And like I said, the co-op CCTV is not going to stop it. The antisocial behaviour is just absolutely terrible. I think we're going to add to it. We're not going to help it. So therefore, I am against this licence, unfortunately. I do wish him well wherever he does find to go, but unfortunately not this piece of land. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Emma Lawrence. Emma, would you please speak now?
Hi, thank you very much for having me. This is just a quick point, to be fair. I too am a resident of Bramshill Close, and the location that it's planned for is going to be a problem. Trying to get in and out of the close as it is problematic with cars parked down Baird Road and visibility. But what also hasn't actually been highlighted from this is pedestrian access, as it is in the area, is quite hard work. Adding in, I'm not entirely sure where pedestrians are going to cross safely to get into the site, obviously after a few shandies on a Friday night for their meal and what have you. There is actually no safe pedestrian point for them to cross. So I agree with everything else, but that's one of my main concerns.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the subcommittee. There's another person online. Oh, Girish Gala, would you like to speak now? I thought she'd spoken. Girish?
Chair, I don't know if you can hear me, Mrs. Martin Dean, but I can see in the messaging that Girish Gala is unable to speak, but would like to know if this permission is granted, then what is the WBC plan to discourage visitors from parking on Baird Road? And this is already an issue for the fish and chip ban, etc. These are things that have been raised before, so most of the things mentioned by this person have already been covered by others. Can I also, whilst I've got the floor for a second, fully endorse what Michael Knowles and Sue McIntosh have said on behalf of other residents from Penrose Park?
Yes, of course. And you do understand that some of those issues raised are for the planning committee, not this committee.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
Thank you. To ask responsible authorities or other person to question for points of clarification. The applicant, do you have some responses to those questions?
Yes. I can start off with the antisocial behaviour, the threatening. That doesn't really have, of course, it does have a bit of a connection, but not really, because that isn't going to really change once we're not there. However, what if we are there? Like I said, my dad has been a supervisor, will be acting as a supervisor for the already existing issues. Like back in Royal British Legion, there were no issues, and it's literally across the road. So again, it's the same type of people entering this area when you think about it. So, like it hasn't been an issue for 15 years, I don't think it will be an issue here. In fact, he would probably help with the existing issues of with his CCTV, and also himself acting as a supervisor kind of there, with his being there from 5 to 11, or like I said, we can change these times if there's still an issue to 6 till 10. That's not a problem. And it is 100 meters, nearly, I think you said, corrected me, about 75 to 80 meters away. So there won't be a smell of the kebab van to the residents. That's quite impossible, I think, for them to smell the kebabs from 75 to 80 meters away. I don't think that will be the case. And alongside that, the young people coming in to make noise, like I said, I already mentioned, we've always had people coming in, and there's never been issues like that back in Royal British Legion. And regarding biodiversity, it is only, and preserving the land, it is only taking up our proposal, which we are again willing to change if that is the case with the planning department, only taking up about 8% of the land. So it not only doesn't have a big effect, but we're only really changing we have only really proposed to change some of the ground. So the hedges will remain as a barrier, a noise and a security barrier. And the only entrance into the site is through this gate that will be locked at all times whilst we're not operating. So we will be preserving most natural elements. And like I said, we can again work with the planning department for different options. It will be gated again, like I mentioned, so no one can enter. When mentioned the travellers entering, that won't be the case, as it will be locked. And again, the question for having entrance for pedestrians, there will be an entrance, the gated entrance for both the car park and the, just how it was in Royal British Legion. It will be a similar layout, and that has never been an issue. Again, that won't be an issue here because it will be the same entrance point as it was back there, with a gated entrance for both pedestrians and cars. Again, that can all be discussed further on if changes do need to be made in regards to safety and biodiversity. It was also mentioned that it was refused a planning application, but that was for a permanent structure, so that's completely different. Ours is just a mobile van and a car park. I'm pretty sure it was for some flats, that it was a block of flats, so that is a big difference, hence probably why it was refused. And regarding the lorries, that doesn't have anything to do with our opening times, as we will be operating through about 5 or 6 to 10 to 11, and so that doesn't really affect our proposal. In regards to the car park, like I said, it will be 10 spaces, so only 2 to 3 of these spaces will actually be for the people visiting the van, which is every half an hour, 2 to 3 people about every half an hour around. So the rest can always be used for the people that use Baird Road. And they do say that the co-op car park is always free, so people don't use it, but that's because the entrance to get to that is a bit more of a drive. However, our car park is will be a bit more easier to enter for the people, for the drivers. So it'll be, because it's right opposite the road that people already park on, which they do not like. So it will be easier to enter our car park. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be using it instead of using the Baird Road. Again, regarding the smell, it won't be there, as it will be near as impossible to be for the residents to be able to smell this, the kebab. And again, it will be maintained very well in regards to the toilet as well. It will be sealed, so no smell, and it will be very far away. We'll strategically place it in order for that to be not to be possible. And like I said, it will be maintained and cleaned, so no smell again will be the. And the entrance can be changed to a more visible space, but because we're not as familiar with the planning, regulations and the entrances, we're not very sure on how that works. But if that is an issue, I'm pretty sure that that can be worked against, as the land is quite a big patch of land, so there can be other entrance points that can be considered as an option, which can be talked with the planning department again, and other local authorities. Regarding the fish and chips van, it was said that it stays for about 3 hours a day, which I didn't really think so, but again, that won't really affect it. Even if that is the case, that wouldn't be an effect. And if parking is such a big issue as they say, surely this would be a better option. They should be for, because it will be much easier for the people that come for this fish and chips van to also use our car park at the same time. So it will be even better for the locals if they're so against the fish and chips stands parking issue. Then ours will definitely be more of a convenience than an inconvenience. The antisocial behaviour, I don't think it would worsen, because we've been trading for 15 years and we've never had issues. And like I said, it's literally down the road. So the same type of people come to visit. And the existing won't change with us not being there. But with us being there, it would probably be much better in that sense. And yeah, even if people do hang around, like I said, we'll be there, which will be even better. And yeah. We've never had an issue regarding anything like that for the past 15 years, so I really don't think that's going to be an issue here. That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I understand there's someone with a hand up online. Kieran Hinchcliffe. Kieran, do you want to speak now?
Yes, please, Chair. There's a lot of discussion in this hearing around planning permission. And how we have two regimes here, licensing and planning regime. They're perhaps in parallel to each other. and there'll be some similarities to the matters and issues that are relevant to each of those regimes. This is we issue lots of different licenses, lots of different permits. This is a street trading consent, so it's not a license, it's a consent regime. In terms of the procedural aspects, more commonly, is that when an application is submitted, the planning permission is included as part of that application, alongside the public liability insurance and even a plan for the area. And that generally makes up the application. We've also obviously got the objection from the planning authority, which is mentioned how their recommendation was for the application to be withdrawn and for a planning application to be submitted. It appears to be the case there's no way about this other than the applicant needing to obtain planning permission before any type of trade, but it does place the subcommittee in a slightly unorthodox position because the planning permission hasn't been obtained first. And I understand where it's been commented even by one of our councillors about which one to apply for first, and really we're guided for the planning permission to be applied for in the first instance. We've discussed this with the applicant in advance of the subcommittee, and there are a few issues here, some of which are being addressed by the applicant in the presentation. But it's felt that it's worth giving that clarity to those that are present, to the person who's applying, and also the subcommittee in terms of what's the general process for a street trading consent. There's not a particular answer to that because a subcommittee is its own decision maker, and you make your decisions in terms of the policy that's there. But we can see in practice now how this committee is being handled, where we have such strong overlaps between planning permission, what's involved with planning permission, and how really this would have been a much smoother committee if that had been obtained in the first instance. And I think in terms of any decision that's given by the subcommittee, it's going to have to pay close attention to how that planning permission is sought, because it is material to the consent being established. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Kieran, and I can echo that complication for this committee, that we have no planning application even in, let alone granted, and so it puts us in a very difficult position. I understand that Sue McIntosh wants to speak again. Sue, can I ask you if it's points you've already raised or new information?
Thank you. It was just a question, really. The applicant has said that they are going to be there and hopefully stop any or supervise any antisocial behaviour from happening. I take it that the applicant at the time would apply for an SIA licence at this point, because to deal with any sort of antisocial behaviour around his van, he should be doing that, I would imagine. Also, locks on the gates are not going to prevent certain individuals, no names mentioned, from causing those to be either broken or actually just bashed off. And also with the smell, the fish and chip shop, we're right at the bottom of Penrose Park. Every time that fish and chip shop is there, we can smell it. So with regards to the smells, yes, we do get it. But thank you for allowing me to address those points.
Thank you. Has everyone who wishes to speak spoken now. Yep. Did you want to respond to those comments?
Yeah, regarding the supervision, we'll be supervising anything on our side, of course, like we have been. And regarding the issue of the gate not being secure or the locked, it wouldn't prevent people from still entering. But that still would have been an issue even if we weren't there. So people can always try, if they really want to, get into that site even if you weren't there anyway. But this having a gated area there would definitely be more of a security than it is now. For there. Yeah, cars can't access there anyway, so if people were to get in, it would be more difficult than it is to get in there now with just the hedges, but as it will be gated now with us having in our proposal. But yeah, that's mainly what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's now the subcommittee's opportunity to ask questions. Rob?
I have one possibly clarification and probably maybe a question for the legal side is Sue McIntosh just mentioned the question of an SIA licence. What is an SIA licence? Does anybody know what an SIA licence is?
Perhaps I can assist. So if you, it's essentially a licence that needs to be held by security officers. So for example, bouncers, I'm sure they're not really called that, outside nightclubs and things, you'll see a licence displayed on their arm. It's effectively anyone working in the security industry. It may be that Kieran can answer that a bit more clearly and a bit less colloquially.
that sounds as though that's only going to be required if you're trying to do security on somebody else's premises. Kieran, could you respond to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a security industry authority, and they're licensed for door supervisors and security. There is the option to use stewards. So we do sometimes see stewarding in place for larger events, and they are not SIA registered because they're not carrying out a security role that would mean that they're ejecting people or so on from licensed premises. In terms of security at licensed premises where we look at late night refreshment, so there's sometimes businesses will apply for late night refreshments like the kebab shops that we might find in a town centre location. They may have a condition, so that's where the trade is after 11 p.m, so between 11 and 3 a.m, something like that. They may have an SIA member of staff present, along with CCTV, and we'll generally see that in those types of premises where there's been incidents of disorder. So we just turn to a subcommittee in terms of how we might hear a Licensing Act application. So, for example, if it was a licensing application for late night refreshment, and there was actual instances of disorder associated to the premises, then that could give appropriateness to having an SIA member of staff employed at the premises. There's considerable cost to that, so to add an SIA licensed door supervisor, it should be balanced with strong evidence in terms of there are instances of crime, and there's a need for the SIA to be present. There's not an objection from the police in factoring in this, and that should be considered by the committee in terms of the responsibility. The responsible authorities that are actually making an objection. And it would be quite considerable cost for an applicant to have an SIA licensed door supervisor for the kebab shop. However, we do have the ability to review licenses. So if it turned out to be a case that there was antisocial behaviour associated to a premises, then SIA staff could be employed. It's interesting how one of the issues that's being described is around car meets and so on. Should that be a case that a site was used like that, we have got a PSPO in place, and our own antisocial behaviour officers can enforce nuisance vehicles. And if that were to be a case at this site where it was used in that manner, then there could be work between a consent holder in terms of their responsibilities and what security they're providing, and then also the local authority in terms of or police in terms of what we're providing too. So when licensed premises are included, there's also responsibilities on councils, police and the licence holders in terms of their steps. But it may be the case that an SIA door supervisor may be a slight stretch too far at this point.
Thank you, Kieran. Kay, do you have any questions? You say there are only between 5 and 10 vehicles per hour that actually use your facility?
Yeah, like 2 to 3 cars every half an hour maximum. Yeah, maximum of 5 an hour, something like that. So they will definitely not, and they only stay for about 10 to 15 minutes each, just to get their food. Especially if it's like a delivery, to come to pick up a delivery, it's just literally they park their car and stay for 2 minutes to get their order and leave. So it's literally not as long as needed for us, any type of supervision for just a little mobile van. But yeah, that's just 2 to 3 cars every half an hour.
And we do usually call and collect a lot on the phone. People they call and come to collect. It takes about a couple minutes to pick up order and take it away. We don't get queue as Kevin by himself. In Legion, everybody knows about that. We don't get many people coming for long time. Wait. We are not like restaurant. Just come and collect and order the food to go. Thank you.
Yeah, maximum a queue of 2 or 3 people. There's never a large queue in our premises, and before in the Legion as well. So that definitely won't be the case.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Rachel, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We're now going to ask the licensing team if they have any questions. Alex or Kieran?
Nothing further from me, no. Thank you.
Kieran, can I ask you if you have any questions?
I'm sorry, Chair. No, with Alec being in the room, I took a lead from him. But we've got a couple of hands up there. I think a couple of hands up for some members in the Teams group.
Oh, sorry. Michael Knowles, you have your hand up again. You've spoken a couple of times. Do you want to say something new this time?
I do. It's just a small clarification to extend what Kieran was talking about regarding the SIA licence. An SIA licence is required if you wish to surveil public spaces via CCTV.
Thank you, Michael. Martin, the same to you. You've spoken already. Is this something new that you wish to say?
Yes, please. The applicant has mentioned a number of times that this won't be the case with regard to their previous trading history at another location. I just want to point out that this is an entirely new set of potential customers for them. And as other people have mentioned, a lot of young people will congregate at this site, we believe, because it's there. I think that those people probably would not have ventured as far as the British Legion. So I think that they perhaps have potentially a different client sort of portfolio than they have at the moment. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. There's now an opportunity for the applicant and others to sum up their case. We've said an awful lot, so please can you add anything if it's only new? So first of all, can I ask the people who are supporting the application?
I have nothing new to say, but thank you.
Thank you. And those against?
I just want to say one more point is that, you know, with all the houses going up in Arborfield, we've got so many new houses. Nothing new has been built. They've taken pubs away. I mean, we have one pub now in Arborfield. There's no way that people can go and get food. Losing this would be a huge shame because we don't have a lot of it in Arborfield.
Thank you. Against?
No, I have nothing further to add.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Adrian? Sorry.
Yeah, I think the invitation was comments in summary, not just news. So I'd just reiterate the two main points I made, that I think there is significant uncertainty in what will actually happen as a result of having not been through planning already, and in terms of the potential impact on antisocial behaviour, which is at best unknown. I can see how there are potentially positive impacts, but also significantly potentially negative impacts, and those are the two main reasons why I don't feel I can support it at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. It isn't a time to introduce anything new or really answer any of those questions, but anything just to add to your application?
Yeah, another thing I can mention was another concern that they had made regarding how I was mentioning how it's going to be a similar case. The only reason I said that was because not only is it very close to this proposal, but also because a lot of people in Arborfield, a lot of people do come and visit the van, so it's usually the same people who are going to come here as well. That's why I said it will be a similar case in terms of how things are dealt with, in terms of the illicit activities and the antisocial behaviour. That was the reason I had said that. But yeah. So.
That's lovely, thank you very much. I think everyone's had now. Obviously my fingers are not good. Yes. Yeah, and so I am going to ask the officers to sum up. Alex or Kieran, one of you to sum up, please.
Thank you. So, just in summary, Bilal has been asked to leave his site at the Royal British Legion, so has obtained a piece of land by Baird Road, where he has applied to hold a new street trading consent. He's proposing parking and hard standing as well, and other measures mentioned. There's been a number of objections for and against, including planning and local members. So it's up to the committee to decide whether they wish to grant, refuse, or make amendments to the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the committee? Rob? No. Kay? Rachel?
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you, that's the end of the hearing. I'm now going to ask everyone to leave, apart from the committee and the officers of the council that need to be with us. Thank you for attending. I'm really pleased that the children have thoroughly enjoyed this and that they'll go into school and say how good it is at the council. Yeah? That's good. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending. And thank you also to those of you who are online.